What is going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of ToyShopFab. And on this episode, just like my two older sons, we're getting pumped. Nope, we're just going to change the water pump. Yep, we are changing the water pump on my 87 Squarebody I call Old Blue. For those of you that are new, I have owned this truck for about 10 plus years, and the last videos we did with this were this thing got a new drop pitman. We'll replace the linkage right there to correct our steering geometry, and of course pulled apart and fixed our input shaft seal leak on our Saginaw steering box. And as you guys can see here, it is still doing pretty good. But while we were out test driving, checking leaks and our steering geometry and all that stuff, I started to hear a slight noise in our water pump, kind of like a bearing. And it's probably caused because this truck hasn't had a whole lot of miles put on it in the last couple of years. It actually sat for quite some time after the third and fourth gear, our reaction shell. In our transmission, my son blew it up and I just let it sit for a long time. And of course, after being rebuilt, come across a few little things here, like my power steering was leaking. It's got a new pump in it because the power steering pump didn't work. Steering box is leaking, so we got that fixed. Bunch of little things. And now it's time to get that water pump changed out. And well, because I have, like I said before, we've got a heck of a journey planned for this truck, trying to get it prepared. So engine in this truck is a 5.7. Now the truck is an 87 itself, but I pulled that engine out of like a 95, I think, between 94 and 96. It's in one of those years. It came out of a Suburban, and I put that in this truck. Seems to be doing really well. It functions quite well with the 87 style injection system, factory ECU and all that stuff. It doesn't really have an issue with any of that. This engine works quite well, if you're wondering. So, if you've never changed a water pump on one of these trucks, here's what you're going to want to do. First off, you're going to grab yourself a wrench. So, you want to undo the battery, right? Because there's a lot of things we're going to loosen up. And, well, you can see there, that one, I'm just going to go ahead and twist it off. So, we'll get the battery undone. I always like to do the ground side because for whatever reason, let's say you slip with the wrench and you touch metal, you don't get sparks. If you were to do that with the positive side up against the fender, this thing is going to be welded to the fender, core support, and quite possibly your hand. So I always start with the negative side of the battery. We'll get that guy off. Next, what you're going to want to do is get the hardware out of the top of your radiator shroud. Now this one would normally be attached to these brackets. If I had the taller style radiator in this truck, these brackets would be up here, mounted to our radiator support here, but they're not. I've got the shorter one, and it is mounted down here, and I have these little extension brackets for our shroud. So you're gonna wanna get those guys out there. Next, once you got those out, on each side of our radiator shroud, you're gonna have 2 7s. There we go, it focuses. You got 2 of those on each side. You're going to want to get those guys out. Come on. If you got 4, you're going to get 4 out. This radiator shroud only has 3. So I'll try to find one to get back in there. Once those little guys are out, we're going to go ahead and just get the top of our shroud out of the truck. Get that on the ground. That way you can get to your clutch fan, you can get to all the bolts, you can get to the 4 bolts that hold the pump on, you can get to your alternator, you can get to the air pump, power steering pump, you can get to all the hardware that you're going to need to loosen all of these guys up, because every single belt on this truck goes around our water pump. So everything's got to be loosened up. If I remember correctly, our AC compressor is 15 millimeters for the most part, all the way around. Loosen those up. You're gonna have one here. You are gonna have one back here, and you're gonna have another one down here. So get those loosened up. That way you can get that belt off. Alternator, if I remember correctly, that one is a 13 or ½ inch. And it is obviously not a ½ inch. All right, so 13. Got the 13 there. Bottom side here, I believe, is going to be probably a 14. Let's find that guy out there. There we go. 14. Yep. Then your alternator will be loosened up. Then you'll be able to get that belt off. Air pump, see here, is also, air pump is not a 14. We're going to go ahead and switch back to our 15, because that seems to be what the air pump is. So 15 millimeter wrench, get our air pump loosened up. And well, because I am no longer in California, I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to go ahead and eliminate this guy. Maybe. We'll see. 15, get that off. Come on over here to our power steering pump. Get on back there. Now here's the neat thing, because I believe the back side of that guy is going to be a 9/16. Yep. So 9/16 or 14 to get to the back of that. 14. Boom. Get that guy loosened up. I believe on the bottom is underneath on the bottom side is going to be a ½ inch. And then we got this guy here, which is a 9/16 as well. Maybe. Where are you? There we go. 9/16. So get that guy out there. So 9/16 on that. We'll get all these guys loosened up. That way we can get all these belts off. This particular one, 7/16. Nope. Let's see here. Where is it? 15. There we go. ½ inch. So we got a ½ inch to get the bolts. Be a ½ inch or a 13 to get the bolts off of your radiator shroud. Or not your radiator shroud, your clutch fan here. So we'll go ahead and get that off. You can see here though, 13, a little loose, ½ inch, just right. So we'll get our clutch off. That way we can get the pulley off of our pump. Then we can get all these belts off. So go ahead and find a place to prop you up. That way you can get in here with me, watch me loosen all this stuff up so we can get that guy off, get all the belts off, get ready to get that pump off. And here we go. All right, water pump is out. While it was out, we went ahead and had the front of the engine overhauled. So as you can see there, nice, fresh, brand new. All overhauled, ready for our new water pump, which is right here. I've got our gasket sitting on there right now. Just giving them a few minutes to kind of tack up. Got silicone on the end of our water pump bolts as well. And you want to put silicone on your bolts because the bolts or the holes going into the block are not blind. So if you were to just put the bolts through our new pump and not put some kind of sealant on the end of those bolts, you may have a leak. So just for some insurance, put a little bit of silicone on the end of your bolts. Now, here is the water pump we pulled out. You can see it's similar to our new pump. It has all the same mounting holes and all that stuff, but I want to see if the camera will pick up the bearing noise. Did it? I don't know, but if it didn't pick it up, if you ever had a skateboard as a kid, right, and then you left it out in the rain for a long period of time, and then you hose it off with WD-40 and you spin it really fast, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like an old dried out skateboard wheel bearing that you freed up with a bunch of WD-40. So at high RPM, when you get it in your finger, that's what it sounds like. So imagine that 2,000 plus RPMs. Get kind of annoying. So that was the only failure point on this water pump. It was still cooling, the truck was still running cool and all that stuff. It just had a bearing noise, and I didn't, like I said, I've got a long trip planned for this thing, and I do not want to be on the side of a freeway or interstate or in the backwoods changing a water pump. So figured, you know what, a little preventative maintenance, we're going to go ahead and swap that out. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and let this silicone sit for just probably 1 or 2 more minutes. We'll go ahead and get this new pump back on the block, get our new bolts in place. While that's happening, I've got to hit the auto parts store up and grab some new belts, because each and every one of these guys are cracked. So we'll go ahead and just get some new belts, replace the water pump belt, replace our alternator belt and our power steering belt. We're going to go ahead and keep those in the toolbox, of course, just for, just in case, just for spares. So, but go ahead and get this water pump on, get the new belts in place. So, be right back. All right, truck is back together. We got the water pump reinstalled, got the alternator bracket reinstalled as well. Fan clutch, the power steering, air conditioning, and alternator belts, everything is tight. Now I ended up having to put the old belts back on because, silly me, this is my daily. This is what I drive when I come home. So I wasn't getting anywhere without putting belts on. So I figured, you know what, let's just put the old belts back on, put the numbers at the top here. That way I can get pictures of those. I can go into the auto parts store. I'll get the replacements. I'll change them out when I get new belts. Or actually, chances are I'm just going to put them in the toolbox, keep them as spares. That way, if these ones break, I got them as backup. So I did end up pulling off the air pump. It is laying down there on the ground. It made about as much noise as that water pump. Actually, a little bit more. So didn't want to deal with it. Got rid of that as well. And I don't need it really anymore. So yeah, hoses are back on. Everything is tight. So what I'm going to do now is I'll get you in the stand. We're going to start filling up this radiator here. We'll get it topped off. Cool thing about this truck is the way the heater hoses work. As you can see, here is one of our heater hoses here. Comes in just below the cap. Another heater hose comes off the back of the block, goes into our heater core there on the firewall, and then comes out, goes to our radiator here. So bleeding their air or the getting an air bubble in the block doesn't happen as often in these things. You just pour them in slow, the water goes in, fills up, all the air is pushed out through our heater core here into the radiator. So that is really nice. But So yeah, get you in the stand here, get this thing fired up, start filling up with coolant, and getting our cooling system bled. All right, got you in the stand. You guys are gonna have to tell me how this looks. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Got myself a cameraman. All right, real cheap. And when I say cameraman, I mean one of those like desktop things that follow you wherever you go. So figured it would help out, right? Don't have to move the stand around as often. I can get down and just kind of walk around. So leave a comment. Let me know how you guys like it. If it works out, if it follows me around. And it does. It's following me. Oh, not right now. But anyways, fire this thing up. So we're doing good. Oh yeah, there we go. Look at that. Gets right back on me. Now this is one of those 15 quart, 16 quart oil cans right here. I got this one because I use it for coolant. Makes it easy. All right, we got coolant flowing through our heater hose, so that is good. Radiator, water pump's putting out, so that's nice. There we go, idle's coming down. It's got one of those aftermarket or cheap idler control motors in it, so it's a little funny sometimes. All right, now that I got flow through our heater hose, I'm gonna go ahead and shut the truck off. Top it off again, put the cap back on. Yeah. All right. Oh, if I could just get it. There we go. All right, radiator is topped off. So I'm gonna go ahead and put our fan shroud back in, get our hoses secured. Once I do that, I'll see you guys again for a little test drive. Actually, probably, yeah. So I'll be back in a sec. Good morning. Yep, it is the next day, but fluids are all topped off. Fan shroud is back in, hoses are secured, and I've been letting this thing run for a while. And so far it's doing pretty darn good. But we're in the truck now, just pulling out of the driveway. Gonna go on a quick little test drive, make sure our truck doesn't overheat. So, here we go. test drive is complete. The truck did not overheat. It actually ran exceptionally well. Water pump's doing water pump things. Everything is circulating. There is no leaks. And what I mean by that, there is no coolant flowing all over the engine compartment, no steam. So that is absolutely awesome. And that is one more thing we have gotten fixed on my old 87 Squarebody here. So these last few videos have been kind of small little DIY videos. This is to help some of you guys out, try to make things a little less intimidating, you know, motivate you. Get out there, work on your projects, have some fun with this stuff. Because you don't have to go full out, just fix one little thing at a time, right? A lot of these things, like that steering box, it's been leaking, well, since it started. I don't remember. Basically, once I got the truck back on the road after getting the transmission fixed, we've been kind of just tackling little things here and there on this truck. So we got our steering linkage fixed, kind of the geometry fixed there from our pitman arm, our drop pitman, to our little drag link there for our steering. Input shaft seal on our Saginaw steering box, got that all fixed, and yes, it is still dry. There are no leaks from that. Got our water pump replaced because I was hearing a bearing noise the last time I fired this truck up. And like I keep saying, I got a long road trip for this thing planned, and I'm trying to take care of these little things as we go. And that water pump is just one of a bunch of other little things I need to get fixed on this truck, or at least have things ready to, or at least have things on hand in case they were to break. And my long road trip I have planned for this truck is we're doing power tour in this truck this year. So this truck has a lot of miles on it. If you're new to the channel, I know I've mentioned it before, but this is an engine, one of my first DIY in-house engine rebuilds. We pulled apart, resealed everything, checked, put it back together. It has been running for, I want to say 8+ years without a single issue. Truck always seems to fire up. Doesn't matter how long this thing sits. And I'm going to tell you, this is the only vehicle I own that I can leave the battery hooked up for weeks at a time and it still fires up. Believe that. Anyways, so I figured, you know what, let's have an adventure. We're going to take this truck on power tour this year. So I'm just kind of stepping through, kind of fixing every little thing I can. But water pump's fixed. We got no leaks. Looks absolutely amazing. All brand new. Right, freshly overhauled, paid cash, no receipts. My attempt at being funny. But anyways, you guys, hope you enjoyed. Hope this motivates you to get out there, work on your projects, have some fun with it. Do one thing at a time. But thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for watching. You have any questions, comments, anything, leave them down there. Leave them down below. Tell me what you guys think. And just have fun. So get out there, work on your projects. Thanks you guys for hanging out. Appreciate all your support. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll catch you on the next one.